The best deck is coming out today, and that best deck is going to be Swordsoul. Why should you care about Swordsoul? Well, if you look at a YCS, look at that. It's pretty much mostly Swordsoul, and this is coming into Master Duel today. Now, for this video and every video I am posting today concerning the new box coming out, you just have to like, subscribe, comment, turn on the notification bell, and you will be eligible for a $100 giveaway on all of my videos today. Let's go. I'm going to be giving you the best deck list. I'm going to give you the best way to play the deck. No BS, no YouTube clickbait nonsense. This is going to be a top tier deck, and I'm going to show you the way using analytics. I'm going to be doing all the research for you. I'm going to show you 2 sample good decks of Swordsoul, and I'm also going to show you some quick gameplay. Allow me to show you a really basic play with this deck. Just normal summoning Mo Yi, which is a 1-card level 8 synchro. It's going to reveal any worm or Swordsoul in the hand to summon the level 4 tuner token. Then we're going to show Con into our level 8 Grandmaster. On summon, the Grandmaster will be able to search for a card. Also, the Mo Yi being sent to the graveyard could also draw a card. So this free draw does not count. We can grab a Blackout, which will be able to destroy 2 cards on the field by destroying our own worm monster. Or we can grab our Long Yun. We already used up our normal summon, so we're going to use Long Yun to discard the card that we revealed with Mo Yi, pretending we don't have this extra draw in our hand. Come forth and show Con, summon a token onto the field again, a level 4 tuner token, and just like that, we are going to make a Baron de Fleur off of pretty much just a 1 card. I guess the TCG folks would say a 1.5 card combo, because we did need something in the hand to reveal with the Mo Yi and then discard for the Long Yun. What this accomplishes is the Grandmaster is going to quick effect negate any monster on the field, and the Baron de Fleur will be an Omni negate, negating monster, spell, or trap. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Swordsoul, Swordsoul solves the problem with synchro summoning, which is what happens if you only have non-tuners or you have only tuners. Well, the Swordsoul cards, the main 3, Mo Yi, Taya, and the Long Yun, all of them have the ability to summon a tuner token. Now, let's move on to what is good. Let's show you a top tier deck. First place, Remote Duel YCS. This is an example of a deck. Now, it's a lot different than ours because Max C is banned, and I will be showing you some other nuances on why you maybe want to play a bit differently than this. Just stay tuned for the deck list and the gameplay. But this is an example of one way to play the deck, playing it with the 10 Yi monsters. These are able to special summon from your hand while you control no effect monsters, and then while you control a non-effect monster, they all have an additional effect. So this is one way to play the deck, and it is a using and abusing Protos, which is banned in the TCG right now. Then we have another YCS top deck, second place. This is what the deck looks like. I'm just setting you up with example decks and how to play this, because there's a lot of different ways to play Swordsoul. There's going to be a lot of BS on YouTube, clickbait nonsense. I just want to show you objectively what was doing well. We're going to be covering everything. It's going to be quick. So this is another example where you see 10 Yi Swordsoul with the Protos. And then we have another one. First place of January 25th, 2022. Again, very similar. You could see that the 10 Yi Swordsoul version is a very good way to play the deck. As you can see from here, from all the Swordsoul players, we have a virtual world Swordsoul. You up, mate? Mostly all of them are playing Swordsoul with 10 Yi. Now, Japan does not like 10 Yi as much with Swordsoul, and I will be showcasing that. Now, what happened in the TCG is a ban list happened where Protos was banned. So we're going to be looking at newer Swordsoul decks that are not using Protos, but we very likely want to use it ourselves because, as we saw in the previous decks, they were using and abusing Protos. Another big change that happened in the TCG is Pot of Desires became limited to 1. So they went from playing 3 Pot of D in all their builds plus Protos to just playing 1 Pot of D, no Protos, and now they're replacing the Protos with another card. And because they are only playing 1 Pot of D, which banishes 10 cards in your deck, then you draw 2, you're less likely to banish this card that they are now playing. So let's look at the new way that Swordsoul is being played, and we might be playing it this way too. So the new way to play Swordsoul in the TCG, as I said, with one Pot of D, this is a top 8 deck from a YCS. They're now playing Despot 001, which is susceptible to being banished by Pot of D, which makes you then lose your main combo with this deck, which is to make a Crystron Hulk, summon the 001, make an Aurora Dawn, then you're going to make the Yazi, then you're going to use Aurora Dawn to pop the Yazi, then summon a Swordsoul from the deck, and the whole combo pops off from there. So this is a way to build the deck, and don't worry, we're going to be compiling everything. I'm going to give you a good sample deck that works for Master Duel, and let's look at another one, top 4 of the latest YCS within just 1 week. As you can see, he is playing the 001 combo, and if you were to ask me why were they not playing the 001 combo before, I would have to say for 2 reasons. Room, and I think Pot of D did play a part in why they didn't play 001 before. So will we play it now? I'm not sure. I practice a lot with 001. I like it a lot, but if you do banish it with Pot of D, playing it at 3, that's going to be a huge downside. Now, let's talk about Japan. Ready for Japan? Boom. This was the Japanese meta before Swordsoul came out. Then Swordsoul came out, and it became the most dominant deck. Not by far, not a massive amount, not tier 0 status, but it is the most dominant deck. This is over many, many months showing, this includes the growing pains of the deck, of them learning how to play the deck and optimizing the deck, and still from the beginning to the total end of this format, Swordsoul was the top deck. So how were they playing it in Japan? Here's an example of how they're playing in Japan. They're not playing it with Tenyi. What is up with that? Well, that allows them to play more traps, more hand traps, more anti-hand traps like Crossout Designator. This might be the way we play it in Master Duel. We have more room. You also have more room for level 8 synchros. We have the Spell and Trap negate, got the Ruddy Rose, and let's check out another build. Now, this one is with DPE. DPE is going to be massive in Master Duel. We are preemptively going into it with Fusion Destiny being semi-limited, but we might see this. So are we going to forego the Tenyi? Are we going to go pure Swordsoul? Or are we going to go with Fusion Destiny? Let's check out another deck. This is with a little bit of Tenyi. We got this Tenyi, the one that returns a card in the field back to the hand. Very good. It could special summon as a level 7 from your hand. And what else do we have? We have more Tenyi. So here is Japan opening themselves up to the Tenyi Swordsoul version. And let's check out another deck. And then we have this one, another pure deck. This is a more recent before. What happened in Japan is the emergence, which searches any of your Swordsouls, it was semi-limited. And also, what's worth noting, here's another build, is that with the ban list going into Master Duel versus the TCG, is the TCG does not have Danglong, the TCG does not have Jet Synchron, the TCG does not have Mecha Fan and Beast Line. These are all banned cards, all cards that we might be using in Master Duel. And it's also worth noting that the OCG and TCG, but not the deck list I showed you, only the more recent TCG deck list, they're making use of the new level 10 Swordsoul. And how impactful is this card? This card's very good, but it is not needed for Swordsoul to be top tier. It was winning YCSs without this. The biggest benefit of this card is when you activate a Shuna from the graveyard or hand to summon a monster from your deck, another Tenyi, you're locked into worm-type monsters only. So normally, you would be summoning Baron DeFleur, and you're not able to if you activate the Ashuna. So you do have to take note of trying to summon this before activating Ashuna if you do play that version. But in TCG and OCG currently, they don't have to worry as much because they'll summon this instead. And even in many circumstances, this is just straight up better than Baron DeFleur. It's also worth noting that Anaconda's banned in OCG. So the version you see with Fusion Destiny, that's no longer valid. They cannot play that. So those are going to be the main differences going into Master Duel is Danglong banned in TCG, Protoss banned in TCG, OCG doesn't have Anaconda. So let's check out another thing I want to show you is in a more recent meta before they went into their tier 0 meta, we're not going to get into that right now, is that Swordsoul kind of fell off. And the only big difference that happened to Swordsoul is the emergence was semi-limited. That's really the only big thing. And of course, new cards coming out. So this is an example deck, not really a Swordsoul deck, but they pretty much are playing something like this instead of Swordsoul. I know it's using the Adventure Engine, but this is when the Adventure Engine is being limited to 1, and they're preferring to play this instead. Now, TCG probably has no idea about a deck list like this because this deck is all about summoning the Crystron Hulk and Aurora Dawn into the Danglong. Danglong searching for your Omni Negate, which does really well against Dark Ruler No More and Droplet. You could then use your Chow Fang plus the Omni Negate to get negated. They're not going to be able to, because the Chow Fang is a Yang Zing itself, itself, you're not going to be dependent on having the Danglong or a Yangzing from the deck on the field in order to negate. And I will be showcasing another video today, the must-know combos of Swordsoul and this top-tier combo where you're going to be able to lock them out of dark monsters and light monsters with a Swordsoul version. Now, without further ado, I'm going to show you some sample decks that will be good for Master Duel. Best deck Swordsoul example number 1. Here is a 10-yi version, not counting the core main cards of the deck. If we're just looking at Ash Blossom Maxi, the extra cards, hand traps, room for hand traps, we have about 9 spaces, including Imperial Order, 2 Call by the Grave, 3 Ash, 3 Maxi. I'm keeping it 40 cards. So that's 9 flex spots if that's how you want to refer to them. This is going to be a very good way to play the deck. It is foregoing the Despot 001 instead to play Protoss and the triple pot of D. I will be playing all different versions though. This is just a very good sample version. And now I'm going to give you sample number 2, pure Swordsoul example. Now, the biggest difference is you have a lot more room. We have Emptiness, Order, that's 2 cards, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We threw in a pot of P. 11, we got 14, 17. It's about 20 flex spots are replacing the 10-yi cards. So instead of having the 10-yi engine, we just have good generic cards like Imperm, Crossout Designate, Called by the Grave, replacing the 10-yi engine. Am I saying this is going to be the best way to play? No, this is just a best deck Swordsoul example. Now, how are we going to find out the best way to play the deck? You're going to stay tuned to the tier list, which objectively is going to automatically update based off of the non-stop tournaments that will be happening all week. I plan on running a ton of tournaments. We're going to have a tournament on Monday, so make sure you show up to that. Tomorrow, we're going to have the ban list is implemented and Swordsoul is going to be in. And then we're going to have another tournament on Tuesday. So I'm going to do multiple tournaments on twitch.tv/Dkayed. Now, let me show you some gameplay of Swordsoul, what to expect. I do want to let you know that with the power of Swordsoul, a really powerful play with the deck is, I would say that we don't really have good turn 2 decks right now in Master Duel. And I think Swordsoul is going to be the first really good turn 2 deck. Now, if you win the coin flip, you don't choose to go second. It's just a deck that also does very well going second. And the reason for that is a few cards here. Why the deck is so good going second is you have Ecclesia, which could special summon, not taking up your normal summon if your opponent controls more monsters than you do. And by them having more monsters, that means if they have 3, 4, even 2 monsters, you can make additional plays before committing to the Ecclesia special summon. And what's very good to note here is Ecclesia is going to eat the Ash. And Ecclesia tributes herself to then get eaten by Ash, which makes the Gamma a very good play to negate the Ash. The Call by the Grave, the Crossout Designate, the Gamma will all protect Ecclesia from getting ashed. And another very good turn 2 card is going to be the Baxias. What's very good about Baxia is it is not once per turn. So you will summon Baxia, return 1 to 2 cards on the field back to the freaking hand, and then you can use Baxia to destroy itself or another card you control. You could set a back row if you want, destroy it, and then special summon a monster from your graveyard. You could special summon a Mo Yi or a Taya, and then make another Baxia. So double Baxiaing it up. Also very good is the Yazi. Yazi can destroy itself plus any card on the field and then summon a Swordsoul from the deck. So being able to Yazi, Baxia, and Ecclesia makes this an incredible turn 2 deck, which is really going to be the first time we finally have a top tier turn 2 deck. So I'm going to show you some example plays right here. What is going to be good here? I'm going to use the Emergence to search. He's going to be setting a back row Conquistador, not really a big deal. I'm going to special summon my Adhara. That's not going to take up my normal summon. I'm going to normal summon Taya. Now, right now, the zombie world is locking us into being zombie only, which means we're not going to be able to summon our main cards that, as you can see on the screen, it says requires a worm monster to summon. And the Baxia, same thing, requires a worm monster to summon. So Zombie World's a very good counter for this deck. How are we going to break it? We're going to banish a card from the graveyard. Any Swordsoul card or worm will then be banished from the graveyard to summon a token in the field, which will be the Token Tuner. So we're going to get Token Tuning. I'm going to use Vishuda. Vishuda, because we have a non-effect monster in the field, which is the token. By the way, the token prevents you from link summoning. You're only able to synchro summon, so you do have to get rid of the token when you want to start link summoning or do any other plays. Vishuda is going to target the field spell, return it back to the hand, and now we could pop off. We got Baxia, which will be able to return 2 cards on the field back to the hand. We have the Taya, when being sent to the graveyard, could send a worm monster from the deck to the grave. We sent an Ashuna. Ashuna will summon a Tenyi from the deck. We're going to use the Baxia to destroy a card we control to summon the Ecclesia. Ecclesia and the Baxia. I'm just going to make a Crystron Hulk. We're going to Crystron Hulk. I'm going to show you the Crystron Hulk play. Summon the Despot 001, making an Auroradon, come forth and summon, triple token. That will trigger the Despot 001 to summon onto the field. Ashuna, banish, summon, and Adhara. Now we're locked into worm-type monsters only. We're going to then use the Adhara in the graveyard to add the Ashuna back to the hand, which means we're now going to be able to discard it for a card effect or reveal it for Mo Yi. We're going to make a level 7 Yang Zing Yazi, which could destroy any card in the field. There's nothing left to destroy. We're going to use the Mecha Fanabisa Auroradon to destroy the Yazi. So you normally will do this turn 1 to then get the Swordsoul from this being destroyed. So either it will destroy itself if there's something to destroy, or the Auroradon will destroy it. We now have Mo Yi with a card in our hand to reveal, so we're going to reveal it, summon a token onto the field. You generally, with this deck, want to think about, how can I get Taiyi and Mo Yi effect, both of them, in the same turn? They both are hard once per turn, so we did Taiyi already, and now we're going to Mo Yi. We're going to summon a token onto the field. Come forth and Shokan into the Grandmaster. Grandmaster will be searching for the Longyun. Longyun is the third most prevalent Swordsoul. We're going to discard a Worm or a Swordsoul card to summon itself onto the field. Let's get to that. Discard, come forth and summon. Summons another token. All the Swordsouls summon a Tuner token. And Shokan into the Supreme. Swordsoul Supreme. It's going to get boosted per banished card. This card is so good against Eldritch. If any card is banished I should say the Grandmaster will trigger it. So the Grandmaster could banish a card from the graveyard to negate a monster effect in the field. We can negate our own monster if we want just to trigger this effect. Then it will banish a monster and a card in your opponent's graveyard. So that will be able to banish Eldritch from the grave and a card in the field. You don't have to banish. You get to blah, 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 banish one card from your opponent's field. It does not have to be a monster. So banish one card from the opponent's field and banish a card from their graveyard. They do have to have something in the graveyard, so this is very good. We are locked into worm-type monsters only. If this card is sent to the graveyard as a synchro material, burn for 1200. There we go. And just like that, we got lethal damage. Let me show you another replay of what's good with this deck. I'm going to show you getting Nibiru turn 1. How about that? So let's see if I can play through a Nibiru. I'm going to be special summoning my Tenyis. And remember, I'm not going to take up my normal summon. We're going to link off. Now, this is a very good card, the Vessel. You want to use this when you have a non-effect monster in the field to send a Tenyi and search a Tenyi. You can also send Longyun, then add Longyun back to the hand with Adhara. That could be a pretty good play. All right, let's special summon the Adhara. And right here, we could make the Crystron Hulk. Now, an issue with this is if you get Ash Blossomed here, that sucks. But to play around Ash Blossom, you could activate Ashuna instead. Ashuna will summon a Vashuda, and if it goes through, then you get to make the Grandmaster make your plays. But if they Ash Blossom the Ashuna, then you get to make Crystron Hulk because they Ash Blossom the Ashuna. So it's going to be a little bit of a mind game, and also in Master Duel, you can kind of read if they have an Ash Blossom. If you activate something else that would have them activate Ash Blossom, you can then change your play and what you want to do. We're going to Crystron Hulk, summon. We're going to do the Auroradon play, and we're going to get Nibiru. Nibiru, holy moly. Now I'm going to use the Triple Tactics talent just to look at their hand and return a card back in the deck so I can continue my plays. Mad Lad's got another Nibiru, but it's only once per turn. Now we're going to Emergence Search. We have not even used up our normal summon, so you're seeing how resilient this deck is turn 1, while also having a good turn 2. Banish from the graveyard to summon. We're going to make a Baxia. The Taiyi is going to send a Mo Yi. Mo Yi is going to summon from the graveyard from Baxia. Baxia is going to return the Nibiru back in the deck. Let's get to it. So we got Mo Yi in the graveyard. We have a token to destroy to summon the Mo Yi. We're going to first banish for Ashuna to summon Adhara. And we're going to add the Adhara, the Ashuna back to the hand. Now we're going to destroy the token to summon the Mo Yi. Mo Yi will reveal the Ashuna, or if you have another worm in your hand. So this does show that we didn't need this worm in our hand to reveal with the Mo Yi. So I'll throw in a Nibiru. We're going to make the Chao Feng. Now, what's nuts about this is you win against Drytron. That's it. Light monsters cannot be activated. This says that Your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters with the same original attribute as the Yang Zing monsters used for the synchro summon of this card. Well, Baxia is a light Yang Zing, and while this is on the field, your opponent cannot activate light monsters. That's it. No light monsters. So let's see the impact of light monsters not being able to activate. The most popular light monsters all are prevented from activating. That is nuts. Look at that. All the Drytron fools. So maybe the end of Drytron is... It's coming. It's coming. Is it here? We'll see. We're going to make the Grandmaster. We're going to search. The Moyi, also being sent to the graveyard, is going to draw a card. Drew into a pot of D. Very nice. We're going to be drawn to just to see what we could draw. We're going to Long Yun, and we're locked into Worm-type monsters only. So we're going to make the Supreme Sovereign. Now, the Supreme is going to be triggered off of the Grandmaster to banish a card from the field and in the graveyard, but they do need something in the graveyard. And this is where we would use the better Swordsoul level 10 that is not in the game. Unfortunately, we'll be getting this much later. This is what we would have preferred to summon, but is not legal in Master Duel. We could not summon Baron because when you activate the Ashuna, you're locked into Worm-type monsters. All right. And just like that, Monster Negate, double banish, can't use light monsters, and wait, this Mad Lad does not surrender? Let's see, let's see. It's going to summon. I'm going to negate. I'm going to banish. He summons Vashuda with a monster in the graveyard. I negate his Vashuda, which has no effect that's worth negating, but that does trigger my Supreme to double banish. Banish his field, banish the graveyard, and playing the mirror match, making a Chao Feng, that means they can't make a Grandmaster to get its effect. Any Baxia does not get its effect. So even summoning the Chao Feng in the mirror match, that's going to counter the mirror match. Holy moly, 4,500. Love it. And that's it. We can't make this video any longer. It's already been way too freaking long. So again, here is an example, best version deck. I went through the OCG, I went through the TCG. I'm doing my best to build good trust with you and not just clickbait you. And hopefully that gets rewarded, because honestly, when these freaking clickbait videos do so damn well, it sends a message to every other YouTuber to lie and to be disingenuous. So is that what you freaking want? Is that what you want? Of course that's not what you want. So there you go. I put in all this work for you, all this research. We're going to get you top combos tonight. In addition to this, when the deck actually comes out. Thank you. We out. Make sure you sign up for the giveaway. Like, subscribe, comment for $100 giveaway. That is it. Fools.